One day, the future you were preparing for may disappear without asking your permission. A doctor closes the door and begins speaking carefully. A phone rings at an unusual hour. A partner says a sentence that changes the meaning of the last 10 years. A company announces that your position no longer exists. A car crosses a line on the road, and an ordinary afternoon becomes the last normal day of your life. Before that moment, you had a private agreement with the future. You may never have said it aloud, but you believed certain things would happen. Your child would be healthy. Your marriage would last. Your parents would grow old slowly. Your body would continue cooperating. If you worked hard and behaved responsibly, life would meet you somewhere in the middle. Then reality refuses the agreement. Russ Harris calls this kind of collision a reality slap, the painful distance between the life we expected and the life that is actually here. In his own family, the diagnosis of his young son changed the future he had imagined as a father. The love did not disappear, but the picture attached to that love was wounded. Plans, assumptions, and ordinary hopes suddenly had to be rebuilt around a reality he had not chosen. That is what makes some forms of suffering so disorienting. We do not only lose what happened, we also lose what was supposed to happen next. A person who loses a relationship may grieve the partner, but also the apartment they planned to share, the holidays they pictured, the private jokes they expected to repeat at 60. Someone who receives a serious diagnosis may grieve today, but also the future body they thought they would have. A parent whose child is struggling may grieve an imagined path while loving the actual child completely. This can create guilt. How can I grieve a future when someone I love is still here? How can I admit that my expectations were broken without making the person feel like a disappointment? But grief is not always a judgment against reality. Sometimes it is simply the nervous system recognizing that the map no longer matches the road. When the shock is too large, the mind may begin with denial. Denial is often treated like stupidity, as though the person cannot understand an obvious fact. But denial can be the mind buying time. It is a temporary shelter built when reality arrives faster than the heart can absorb it. Imagine a father who has lost a child. For weeks, he still wakes up at the same time. He reaches for the lunch bag. He drives toward the school before remembering there is no lunch to deliver. From the outside, this may look irrational. From inside the shock, the old routine is the only world his body knows. The mind says, "Not yet. Give me one more morning before the full meaning enters." You can see smaller forms of denial in ordinary life. Someone knows the relationship is over, but keeps buying 2 portions at the grocery store. Someone is laid off, but continues waking before the alarm, reaching for the work laptop. Someone receives a diagnosis and spends nights searching for one article that will prove every doctor wrong. Denial is not acceptance, but it may be a bridge toward it. Eventually, reality reaches through the bridge. The lunch is still in the passenger seat. The second plate stays empty. The email account is disabled. The test result does not change. Then anger often arrives. Anger is grief searching for someone to put on trial. Why me? Why my family? Why did the doctor miss it? Why did they drive that night? Why did God allow this? Why is everyone else continuing with their ordinary day while my world has stopped? Anger can feel powerful because helplessness feels unbearable. If someone is guilty, then perhaps the event still belongs to a world that makes sense. If the universe is unfair, at least there is something to fight. But anger is expensive. It promises to punish the outside world while burning the person who carries it. You replay conversations in the shower. You argue with people who are not in the room. A cashier makes a small mistake, and all the rage from the hospital enters the grocery store. Someone says the wrong comforting sentence, and you want to punish them for not understanding a pain they could never fully understand. The anger may be real and even justified, but if it becomes the only language of grief, it can make the suffering larger than the event itself. After anger, the mind may open a courtroom called, "What if?" What if I had called 5 minutes earlier? What if I had chosen another doctor? What if we had taken a different road? I should have noticed. I should have insisted. I should not have left. I should have known. The courtroom never closes because the evidence comes from imagination. The mind can create endless alternate worlds where one small decision saves everything. In those worlds, you are always one choice away from preventing the tragedy. This can feel like responsibility, but often it is another form of refusal. If I can prove that the past was preventable, then I do not have to accept that some events are larger than my control. A woman whose marriage ended may analyze the final argument for months, believing one different sentence would have repaired years of distance. A son may replay the last conversation with his father, convinced that a longer call would have changed the ending. Someone injured in an accident may punish themselves for leaving home at the exact time they did. The mind prefers guilt to helplessness because guilt still gives us a role. Helplessness says there was no move that guaranteed safety. This does not mean we never learn from the past. Sometimes there were mistakes. Sometimes responsibility is real. But learning asks, what can I do differently now? Bargaining asks, how can I force yesterday to reopen? Eventually, some people reach a quieter and more frightening place. The anger loses energy. The arguments with reality become repetitive. The alternate timelines stop offering relief. The person sits down and feels the weight of what actually happened. This is sadness. Not necessarily clinical depression, and not a neat stage everyone reaches in the same order. Grief is not a staircase. People move backward, forward, sideways. A smell can bring denial back. An anniversary can bring anger back. A new loss can reopen an old one. But sadness can still be a movement toward truth. It is the moment you stop saying this cannot be happening and begin saying this happened, and I do not know how to carry it. That sentence does not sound hopeful, but it is honest. This is also where shallow, positive thinking can become cruel. Look at the bright side. Everything happens for a reason. Be grateful for what you still have. Do not think about it. Stay strong. These sentences are often offered with love, but they can make a grieving person feel that reality is not welcome in the room. If someone learns Spanish, they do not forget their first language. In the same way, adding a positive thought does not erase the language of loss. You can be grateful for the people still alive and devastated by the person who is gone. You can love your child exactly as they are and grieve the future you had imagined. You can believe life still contains beauty and admit that what happened was terrible. Acceptance is not forcing the glass to look half full. Acceptance is looking at the whole glass. It is seeing what remains and what is missing. It is refusing to lie about either side. Acceptance does not mean approval. It does not mean the event was fair, necessary, or secretly good. It means reality has already happened, and continuing to argue with the fact of it is consuming the strength you need for the life that remains. The pain may stay. The empty chair may stay empty. The diagnosis may stay true. The relationship may remain over. The body may not return to what it was. But when the argument with the fact begins to soften, another question becomes possible. Not why did this happen to me? Not how do I make the past different? But now that this is here, how do I want to meet it? That question is not a motivational slogan. It may take months or years before a person can ask it without feeling insulted. But when it becomes possible, it marks a change. Reality may have the final vote on what happened. It does not automatically get the final word on who you become afterward. Please put in the comments. What future did you have to grieve when life changed without your permission?